The City of Boston Zoning Board of Appeal hearing for March 4, 2025 is now in session. This hearing is being conducted in accordance with the applicable provisions of the open meeting law, including the updated provisions enacted by the legislature last year. The new law allows the board to continue its practice of holding virtual hearings until March 2025. This hearing of the board is being held remotely via the Zoom webinar event platform. This hearing is also being live streamed. In order to ensure this hearing of the board is open to the public, members of the public may access this hearing through telephone and video conferencing. The information for connecting to this hearing is listed on today's hearing agenda, which is posted on the public notices page of the city's website, boston.gov. Members of the public will enter the virtual hearing as attendees, which means you will not see yourself on the screen and you will be muted throughout unless administratively unmuted when asked to comment. Board members, applicants, and their attorneys or representatives will participate in the hearing as panelists, and they will appear alongside the presentation materials when speaking. Panelists are strongly encouraged to keep video on while presenting to the board. As with our in-person meetings, comments in support will be followed by comments in opposition. The order of comments is as follows: elected officials, representatives of elected officials, and members of the public. The chair may limit the number of people called upon to offer comment and the time for commenting as time constraints require. For that reason, the board prefers to hear from members of the public who are most impacted by a project, that is, those individuals who live closest to the project. If you wish to comment on an appeal, please click the raise hand button along the bottom of your screen in the Zoom webinar platform. Click it again and your hand should go down. When the host sees your hand, you will receive a request to unmute yourself. Select yes, and you should be able to talk. If you are connected to the hearing by telephone, please press *9 to raise and lower your hand. You must press *6 to unmute yourself after you receive the request from the host. Those called upon to comment will be asked to state their name and address first, and then provide their comment. In the interest of time and to ensure you have enough time to do so, please raise your hand as soon as Mr. Stenbridge reads the address into the record. Do not raise your hand before the relevant address is called, or the meeting host will not know to call on you at the appropriate time. Mr. Stenbridge.
Madam Chair, present.
Good morning. Mr. Valencia.
Good morning, Madam Chair, present.
Good morning. Ms. Wewell.
Good morning, Madam Chair, present.
Ms. Turner.
Good morning, present.
Good morning and welcome. I will turn it over to Mr. Stenbridge, and just a reminder, we are a 5-member board today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, we will begin with extensions scheduled for 9:30 a.m. There are 11 cases. I'll read through all of them. If we have any questions, we can then take a motion after that. First, we have case BOA 1385793 with the address of 9 Downland Court. Next, we have case BOA 1272203 with the address of 5 Parker Street. Then we have case BOA 1033475 with the address of 334 to 362 Cambridge Street. Then we have case BOA 1033474 with the address of 1 Highgate Street. Next, we have case BOA 1033472 with the address of 8 to 12 Wilton Street. Next, we have case BOA 1033469 with the address of 20 Braintree Street. Then we have case BOA 1395268 with the address of 1017 River Street. Next, we have case BOA 1433779 with the address of 800 William T. Morrissey Boulevard. Next, we have case BOA 112-83800 with the address of 128 Webster Street. Next, we have case BOA 1094129 with the address of 4011 to 4019 Washington Street. And finally, we have case BOA 136-8532 with the address of 60 Chesterfield Street. Those are the extension cases that we have before us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Given the extensions appear reasonable and necessary under circumstances presented, is there a motion to grant the extensions as requested?
Motion to grant the extensions as requested.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries.
Next, we have a board final officer case scheduled for 9:30 a.m. This is case BOA 1467752 with the address of 10 St. Margaret Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, would they please explain the case to the board?
Thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Justin Burns from Pulcini and Norton, business address 10 Forbes Road, Braintree, Mass. I'm here on behalf of the owner of 10 St. Margaret Street, James Murphy. We come before you today seeking a final zoning approval for an amendment to an existing ALT. By way of history, that ALT in question was approved back in August of 2021. Which allowed for a renovation and addition to the Murphy family's single-family dwelling. That renovation included a roof deck, which at the time was to be accessed via roof hatch. The amendment before you today seeks to change the method of access to that roof deck, switching from roof hatch to walkout. This would be done as a means of improving access and egress from the roof deck. Now, the head house will be non-occupiable space and will not alter the profile of the building or the roof when viewed from the street. And the planning department has already signed off on the as-built condition. The change was cited for just one violation, that being an extension of a square footage related to a non-conforming side yard setback. The extension was deemed de minimis by inspectional services. And accordingly, we asked that relief be granted for this violation. The Murphy family has been going through this process for a few years to get these renovations done, just so it can comfortably house Jim, his wife, and their children. They're very eager to get this process completed, and this is their final hurdle, so we're hoping that we can have approval today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion of approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to the hearing scheduled for 9:30 a.m. At this time, we'll ask if there are any requests for withdrawals or deferrals from this time frame.
8 Brook Street, please.
So that is for case BOA 1659785 with the address of 8 Brook Street. Would you go ahead and explain, please?
Thank you, Mr. Embers. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago with Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street. This was scheduled to go forward today. The description had changed. ZBA had reached out to us. It had to be re-advertised, and I was told the new date was for March 25th. So with that, we would seek a deferral.
Okay. With that, may I have a motion?
I make a motion to defer this case.
To March 25th. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
Thank you. I also have another one as well at 4471 Washington Street.
Bear with me, please.
Second to last case.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this request is for case BOA 1685352 with the address of 4471 Washington Street. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Jeff Drago and Toscano with the business address of 11 Beacon Street, here today on behalf of the applicant seeking a deferral for 4471 Washington Street. Due to the size of the board, we would like to defer for a larger 6 or 7 member board.
Okay, Caroline, we have some dates.
We could do April 8th, or April 29th.
8th is fine. Caroline, thank you.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until April 8th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
Thank you very much.
674 to 676 East Broadway, Mr. Secretary.
So that would be for case BOA 165-8178 with the address of 674 to 676 East Broadway. Would you please explain?
Yes, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, here on behalf of the appellant, just seeking an administrative deferral. We also want to continue to work with the neighbors on a remaining issue with the roof hatch and roof head house, which has been removed, but we want to communicate that properly with them as well. So we'd like to seek a deferral. Thank you.
Okay, and the April dates again, Caroline?
Yes, we could do April 8th or April 29th.
April 8th would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer to April 8th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you
Thank you.
then.
59 Worcester Street, excuse me. Brook Street's on the screen.
So that would be case BOA 165-3182 with the address of 59 Worcester Street. Would you explain to the board, please?
Sure. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Attorney Derek Small of a business address of 51 Dobson Road. We're here today seeking a deferral of the case at 59 Worcester Street, as the plans have changed, and they're going to have to, the plans examiner is going to have to relook at the plans and probably be re-advertised.
Okay, and how much time do you need?
I think the April 29th date should be sufficient.
Okay, does that still work, Caroline?
Yes, it does.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer to April 29th.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
296 Summit, Mr. Stenbridge. Could you hear me?
So the case is for, the request is for case BOA 156-4330 with the address of 296 Summit Avenue. Would you go ahead and explain, please, Attorney?
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Richard Lynn's business address at 245 Summer Street, East Boston. On behalf of the petitioner, requesting a deferral based upon board makeup, requesting a 6 or 7 member board.
Okay, and are those April dates still working?
Yes, so we could do April 8th or April 29th.
Let's go with the 8th.
May I have a motion?
Motion to defer to April 8th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge,
Yes.
Mr. Valencia,
Yes.
Ms. Wewell,
Yes.
Ms. Turner.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, motion carries. See you then.
2164 Washington Street.
That this request is for case BOA 1648030 with the address of 2164 to 2168 Washington Street. Would you go ahead and explain, please?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is David Ingram, attorney at Goldstein Stores, located at 1 Post Office Square in Boston, speaking on behalf of the applicant. So we were informed that there will not be a quorum for our case, and therefore we would like to request a deferral to the next available hearing.
Okay, Caroline?
We could do March 25th.
That would be great, thank you.
Perfect. May I have a motion?
Motion to defer until March 25th.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Well, chair votes yes, the motion carries. See you then.
Thank you very much.
Any further requests for withdrawals or deferrals on the 9:30 a.m. timeframe? Then we will proceed and we'll remind folks that we are a 5-member board this morning. So with that, we will move on back to the hearing scheduled for 9:30 a.m. First being case BOA 1686079 with the address of 124 to 126 Montgomery Street. The applicant and/or their representative are present. Will they please explain the case to the board?
Well, this is Timothy Sheehan. I'm an architect in Charlestown. I'm at 9 Wall Street. 124 Bunker Hill Street is an existing 2-family, 30-year-old structure. Basically, it's a side-by-side attached singles, one structure. My client would like to put a roof deck on. There's no outside space, no exterior space, ground space. So this would be their open space. The way the building is built, if you look at the pictures, is when they did the structure, they put 3.5-foot parapets all the way around it. So you really can't even see this deck. The neighborhood meeting, no one showed up. And, you know, when my client was flyering, people didn't seem perturbed by the idea of a roof deck. And that's essentially it. If you look at the drawings, that's what we're trying to get relief to put a roof deck on this structure.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and board members, good morning. Siggy Johnson with the Office of Neighborhood Services. This petitioner completed the ONS community process. Our office hosted an abutters meeting on January 22nd, at which no concerns were raised. Our office has not received any additional outreach on this proposal. With that background, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have no raised hands at the moment.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
I will put forward a motion of approval with a proviso that plans be submitted to planning for design review due to its location within the Charlestown Neighborhood Design Overlay District.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have case BOA 1685710 with the address of 597 East 2nd Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, please explain.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Stenbridge. My name is George Moranci. I'm an attorney with the business address of 350 West Broadway in South Boston. I represent David Anderson, the owner of the building. What is proposed is the addition of 2 modestly sized dormers, one in the front and one in the rear, to the attic level of the existing single-family dwelling. The lot is small at approximately 981 square feet and is located within an MFR multifamily residential zoning subdistrict under Article 68. The two dormers would serve to create a third story to the building and allow for additional living space in the form of an ensuite master bedroom at the third story level. The only relief being requested is a conditional use permit, owing solely to the fact that the dormers would alter the profile of the existing pitched roof. With respect to the requested conditional use permit, I would point out that this specific site is an appropriate location for the proposed dormers, as it is a residential neighborhood made up of buildings of similar size and architectural style. The dormers and minimal amount of living space added will not adversely affect the neighborhood. There will, of course, be no hazard to vehicle or pedestrians, nor will the dormers create any nuisance. And the dormers will be professionally constructed and thus appropriate and adequate for the intended use. Finally, this building is attached to the building abutting on the right, which was approved by the board last week for nearly identical expansion of existing dormers there, meaning that the two buildings will be complementary in design and massing upon the approval of this application. With that, I'll pause to take any questions that any members may have.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and board members, Siggy Johnson with the Office of Neighborhood Services. This petitioner completed the ONS community process. Our office hosted an abutters meeting on January 21st, at which supportive comments were made and there were no concerns. The Gate of Heaven Neighborhood Association is the active civic group in this area, which is in non-opposition. With that background, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jenny.
Thank you.
Testimony?
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jennifer Salmon. I live at 10 Barnard Place, which is a small road behind this project. Dave Anderson introduced himself to everyone in our neighborhood from the get-go to discuss this project. The house abuts the Barnard Place entrance road. He and his team of workers continue to be mindful of safety and our needs driving in and out onto East 2nd Street. The work's been very well coordinated, and I have faith that it will continue to be. I attended this butters meeting to review the designs, and I have no concerns and fully support the project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Madam Chair, we have no additional raised hands at the moment.
Ms. Ganlon's hand is up.
Okay,
Yes.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Sydney. I'm from Councillor Flynn's office. Councillor Flynn would like to go on record in support based on a good community process and feedback from neighbors. He respectfully requests that the proponent continue to work closely with neighbors during the construction phase and any quality of life issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have no additional raised hands at the moment.
With that, may I have a motion?
I put forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Rewell?
Yes.
Mr. Stembridge?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go, Next, we'll go to case BOA 1644826 with the address of 32 Vinton Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, would they please explain to the board?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. My name is Kirsten Maloney. I currently live at 32 Vinton Street, apartment number 3. We are here today to ask for relief from 3 separate issues on our zoning board here. So what we're trying to do, if we could scroll down, we can see ultimately we're trying to put a second bedroom here on a flat roof on the back of a 3-family home. So currently we just have an existing flat roof back there. We would just construct a 1-bedroom around there. And then the second thing would be just updating our fire escape. Right now we have a older metal fire escape, so we would update that with a wooden one that would be slightly larger. I've lived in South Boston for 5 years here, so just trying to add on a second bedroom as I'm expecting baby number 2 in a month. So the plans show here again that we're just adding that second bedroom on the flat roof. Followed all proper procedures here, did the abutters and the Andrews Square Civic Association meeting, and was received with full support. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Siggy with the Office of Neighborhood Services. This petitioner completed the ONS community process. Our office hosted an abutters meeting on the 13th of January at which no concerns were raised. And Andrew Square Civic Association has met with the proponent and they're in support of the proposal. With that background, we defer to the judgment of the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Sydney. I'm from Councillor Flynn's office. Councillor Flynn would like to go on record in support based on a good community process with neighbors in the Andrew Square Civic Association. He respectfully requests that the proponent continue to work closely with neighbors during the construction phase and on any quality of life issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have no raised hands at the moment.
With that, may I have a motion?
Forward a motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yeah.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1650298 with the address of 99 Boston Street. This is an Article 80 case, so if the applicant and or the representative present, will they please explain?
Good morning, Ms. Secretary. Just for the record, too, this is has a companion case at 101-109 Boston Street, which is the very next agenda item.
Bear with me.
Yes, sir.
As I read that in.
Yes, sir.
So the companion case will be case BOA 1650301 with the address of 101 to 109 Boston Street. Thank you, and continue, please.
Thank you, Mr. Stenberg, and good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Joe Hanley, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, 28 State Street in Boston. Here representing Cobalt Development Partners, who is the proposed proponent of this new residential development, mixed-use development. Also here by authorization from Fortress Boston Corporation, of which my client has an agreement to acquire the subdivided land for this proposed development. I have the team from Cobalt here with me, Lad Thorne and Charles Steelman. I also have our project architect, Beth Whitaker from Merge, who will take you through the presentation after I give you a brief overview on these slides. Next slide, Madam Chair, please. Just to give you context of the site, 101 Boston Street, in the Polish Triangle section of the Dorchester neighborhood and within a walkshed of the MBTA's Andrew Square train station and the new and improved offerings of employment and shopping at South Bay. Next slide, please. Brings it a little closer into perspective. You'll see the proposed development site in the orange, again, along Boston Street. And to its right, you see the existing Fortress building, of which this site is being subdivided from. It is a large surface lot that is underutilized at the intersection of Boston Street and Frontage Road. Next slide just sort of shows you a little bit about the context of the area. To the north of us, across Frontage Road, we have the Holiday Inn, as well as, which you'll see in the upper left. If you look to the upper right, that's the existing Fortress building. It's about 108 feet in height, and it was built around 40 years ago in 1985. And then across the street, across Boston Street, which you'll see to the lower left, we start to see some of the residential as you go into the neighborhood. So very much a transition Main Street location, and that is mindful in our plans, which you'll see. Next slide, please. So I had mentioned the companion case. My client is acquiring approximately 13,500, a little under 13,500 square feet of subdivided land, which you'll see in the gray hash, appropriately cited as a corner lot. Right now, the existing Fortress building, again, that's been there for 40 years, will remain. That does create a small FAR violation with respect to the reduction in that lot. and also is a non-conforming use. So that's the companion zoning case. Fortress has, significant parking. It's a relatively quiet operation, as self-storage is, and has been there for a long time. Lots has changed in 40 years, not the least of which is the current housing crisis. So the proposal would take a underutilized surface parking lot and introduce much needed residential housing and active small-scale ground floor cafe use. Next slide, please. So just the project overview. Again, project site as being subdivided, a little under 13,500. The proposed building is just under 50,000 gross square feet. It was subject to small project review by the BPDA and fully approved by the BPDA board and recommended for approval back in January. There would be 59 new units, a mix of which are from 2 bedrooms to studios, very much looking towards this location as a workforce housing opportunity on a main street and in close proximity, not just to transit and downtown, but all of the growth that's happening in Andrews Square. The proposal also includes a small-scale neighborhood serving cafe use of a little over 2,000 square feet. It is meant to provide much-needed activation along Boston Street, not to compete with our neighbors, but to add to the fabric and dynamic of the immediate neighborhood. 71 total bike spaces and 10 vehicular parking spaces, which we would suggest is consistent with the walk shed and the type of residential program. Next slide talks a little bit about the zoning context. So, zoning being the uniqueness of the site. We are in a community commercial sub-district, and the site does present some hardships that justify the relief requested. It fronts on 3 streets, as you'll see, Boston Street to the south, then along Frontage Road as it wraps along the back to the north. It is also in the newly adopted Coastal Flood Resiliency Overlay District, of which we are complying with, and you'll see that that in part justifies the height that is requested with respect to our limitation on the ground floor. And there is a change in grade that goes down from the north to the south. And right now you have basically a impervious surface, and so this new building, as well as its new pervious surfaces and landscaping, will help to heal and cool the heat island effect in the neighborhood. Next slide just takes you through the relief that is necessary. Both the residential MFR use and the small-scale cafe are allowed by the grant of a conditional use permit from this board, which we are obviously seeking today. Again, appropriate for the site and as processed through the BPDA process with significant support and no real opposition. The FAR for this proposal is 3.7. If you were to blend that with the subdivided lot for the Fortress building, that gets you to about 2.8. And the FAR for the Fortress building on the newly created lot would be 2.35, which doesn't change its existing use and circumstances and is appropriate for the introduction of housing on the subdivided lot. And then we need a height variance of about a little over 67 feet for this 6-story building. Again, a corner lot condition, and I think you'll see in the presentation how it comports with the context, obviously much lower than the long existing Fortress building, but also consistent with the context and character of the area. And then relief is required for parking. Ordinarily, the outdated requirement would be 88 spaces, which of course would just create a parking lot. We've done is created a balance based on the size of the units and its proximity to transit, as well as certain investments that are being made to improve the commuter experience. Next slide shows you the zoning refusal letter, which goes over what I just mentioned. And then with the next slide, I will ask Beth Whitaker to take you through the presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair. Beth?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Joe. Hi, Madam Chair and the board. Great to be here this morning. We're really excited about this project. I'm Beth Whitaker, principal of Merge Architects, and we do a lot of housing in Boston and the area. So thrilled to be here. So as you can see from this axon, we felt like this site is a little bit of a missing link between the 99 Boston and the approved 121 Boston Street project about to be built. And then of course, in the foreground, kind of behind us here, is South Bay, behind the Holiday Inn and Marriott. It is very much a 5/1, 6 stories, and we are trying to make the most of that podium space, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. So this is just giving you the context along Frontage Road and seeing here a glimpse of 2 outdoor green spaces, which will be private to the residents who live in the building. One on the roof of the first floor podium, which is walking off the second floor, and the second one being a roof deck, which we're pulling away from the residential edge of the site and facing the amazing views of downtown skyline. Next slide. So just some quick highlights about the kind of the situating the building on the site. There are some existing curb cuts, the one to Plan North on Frontage Road. We are using as the vehicular access for the parking, which is an interior garage at grade. 10 spaces, as Joe mentioned, and also our loading. So our loading is in fact internal to the project footprint, which we went through with the BPDA process. So that worked out quite well. Everything in gray is back of house. There is a curb cut on Frontage Road to the left that we've closed up. And we do have 2 pedestrian egress doors along Frontage Road. Boston Street is our main entry. You can see in yellow the lobby, and then in orange that small 2,000 and change square foot restaurant space on the corner to really enliven that pedestrian corner and zone at Frontage in Boston. You can see there a bus stop area. We have a zoom in a moment, and then an active curb in front of our bike parking. Next slide. Just a bit of a zoom in. Again, 10 parking spaces, the loading in the light gray, lobby down Plan South along Boston Street, and then that restaurant corners venue that will open up to the corner. So we'll have a really nice glass corner that's very pedestrian friendly and dialogue with the sidewalk. And bike parking, we have the 71 bikes that are enclosed off of Boston Street as well. Next slide. Just a little bit about the unit mix. We thought long and hard about trying to get the right demographic here and make this a space that, younger folks might be able to afford. These are studios, studio pluses, some 1-beds, and of course a few 2-beds. We have 5 2-beds, 14 1-beds, and then 20 each of the studio and the studio plus. So we think this will be a really great mix for this corner site, sandwiched and flanked between South Bay, the activity of South Bay, and then of course the residential edge beginning on Boston Street. Next slide. And so a little bit of our, again, highlights on the landscape plan. If you scroll down just a hair, I think there might be a little bit, other way. Sorry, scroll up, my bad. So we are proposing 11 new trees along the sidewalk of Frontage. If you know this site, it's pretty harsh right now, not very pedestrian friendly. We are widening the sidewalks to comply with the Boston Complete Streets regulations. We are also widening quite a bit more the sidewalk right at the corner of Boston Street and Frontage, making the MBTA bus stop even safer and more accessible, which will be adjacent to our active curb and drop off at our front lobby, as mentioned before. We are providing, in addition, a crosswalk Plan North, which goes from the edge, kind of the back edge of our project, north to that Holiday Inn and across to South Bay along Frontage Road. Next slide. And then a little bit about our outdoor space. Again, 59 units. We think this is incredibly generous and exciting for the project. We have the podium open space, which we're highlighting on this slide, which is the roof of our parking and bike and lobby area. So it'll be, I don't know, I think it's around 15 feet off grade. So it'll be somewhat private and tucked away, but will be a nice green buffer to the sidewalk, and a really great space for the people who live there. Some of the units walk off onto that, but it will be open for the entire residents for the entire project. So these are more small sitting areas, not one big open terrace. These are little nooks with seating, like you can see in the precedent images to the right. And then the next image shows a little bit more, slide of the flavor of the roof deck, which is more open. We'll have some grilling, we'll have some outdoor, obviously a lot of outdoor furniture, and more of a gathering space that can hold larger numbers. We have tucked it away from the residential edge, as mentioned, and also designed the project to have a much higher parapet along Boston Street, so that that green space is really just fronting the hotel and the amazing views of the skyline. And the rest of the roof will be for mechanical space, of course. Next slide. And then just a few fun views. This is coming down Boston Street. To the right at the podium is the bike parking door, and then that lobby area that recesses back, and you start to get a glimpse of the restaurant on the corner. We're looking at brick. We're looking at a dark brick base and a lighter brick for the upper 5 floors, and then some lighter material that would punctuate these recessed balconies. So we have this play of, windows and then similarly sized recessed balcony alcoves, so that there is outdoor space for these private units.
Ms. Whitaker, quick question. The open space on the roof that you mentioned, is that accessible to the residents, or is that just intended as like a green roof?
Accessible to the residents.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry if that wasn't clear. So here you get a glimpse of that podium roof, which is accessible to all the residents. You obviously have your guardrail, and you see the vegetation behind it, so that'll really soften that edge on the Fortress parking lot and along Boston. You see some of our proposed street trees. Next slide. And then a view looking down Boston Street on the left, Boston on the right, frontage on my left. That is that corner restaurant space at the podium. And so rather than having like a typical retail storefront glass, we really wanted to bring the brick piers down, provide this planter so it felt more substantial, and then had this recessed glass, so it's just a little bit cozier and felt a little more residential to us than a more commercial look. And just more of the same, of a staggered massing that actually aligns with the street edge of frontage. We've also broken down the massing on the Boston Street side with some deep recesses, those vertical recesses, to start to relate more to the triple deckers and the housing stock across the street. Next slide. Frontage Road actually has this really nice curve once you actually adapt the form to it. So we ran with that for the podium and have, we think, a really beautiful curved surface along that new improved sidewalk at Frontage Road. Just a view looking along Frontage Road on the left, and then the city skyline would be to our left. Next slide. And this is a view looking back, looking south, city behind me here, Fortress parking lot to the left, that second floor podium space again, and then again just seeing our 5 floors stacked on top of that podium with that garden space on the second floor. Next slide.
Thank you, Beth. Just one thing to add, I don't know if I maybe didn't mention this, but we also obviously have an on-site income restricted housing program with 8 affordable units, and would like to thank the Boston Planning Department for guiding us through this opportunity to convert the parking lot to housing and make investments in connectivity in the public realm and the quality of life for the neighborhood. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office is deferred to the judgment of this board. This went through a Boston planning-led community process involving a public meeting in late October. There was a little less than a dozen public comments that were submitted, the majority in support of this project, feeling it was a positive addition to the streetscape and that the height was in line with a lot of neighboring buildings on that side of Boston Street. They also secured support from the McCormick Civic Association. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board. Liam Remus from Councilor Fitzgerald's office. Our office would like to go on record in support of this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, and thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Tyler Ross, the project manager from the planning department that ran the Article 80 process for this project. We are in support of this project. BPA held a public meeting for this project, as Connor stated, October 28th, 2024, which was well attended and advertised in the local newspapers. The project also received letters of support from the local civic associations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor, go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Jesse Purvis from the Office of Council President Lucie Louis-Jean. Our office would like to go on record in support of this project, thinking it'd be a good addition to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Councilor Murphy?
Hello and good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair, Mr. Secretary, members of the board, Madam Ambassador. My name is Kevin O'Sullivan. I'm from Councilor Aaron Murphy's office. Councilor Murphy would like to stand with the community in support of this project with Councilor Fitzgerald and the McCormick Civic Association. Thank you very much for your time and consideration. Councilor Murphy is in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
No additional raised hands at the moment.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Put forward a motion of approval.
Second. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yeah.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Ruo?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The next two cases are deferred, so that will take us to case BOA 166-1327 with the address of 26 Waybon Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, will they please explain the case to the board?
Someone from
Hi,
Similar Development?
this address, can you raise your hand? I saw his name. Is Elias? See another raised hand here.
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Sylviana, yep. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Are you the part of the development team?
Hello, my name is Lavelle Crosby. I am the owner at 26 Waybon Street. Madam Chair and members of the board, I do appreciate this time. Ms. Silvana Swinga will be on after me to go over the plans. I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. Like I said, I'm the owner. Myself and my children have lived there for over 25 years. And my goal here with this renovation is to change the use of my house. It is currently a 5-bedroom single. I live there currently alone, and my goal is to create a space on the first floor and a bedroom on the basement level to age in place. I don't plan on selling the property. I don't plan on, it is part of my legacy. So I just really wanted to make that clear and understand that I love the neighborhood, I love the area, and I'm not going anywhere. And it's for me to create a space for my family to grow and enjoy the area. So I will turn it over to Ms. Silvana. She is my architect, and she will go over the plans. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
You're going to have to speak a little bit louder.
Okay. So, hi, good morning, Ms. Chairman, Chairperson. Thank you so much for listening, taking our case. So I have prepared all the drawings for Lavelle's project, 26 Waybon Street. It's a very interesting street because it's part of the 3-family 5,000 lot zone district in Boston. Most of the houses around are, you can go to the next page. Thank you. Most of the houses around are 2 or 3 families. I have found, actually, sorry, go back to one. Okay. Is there one more page before that? There we go. So I did some research on the history of the property, and it had been a two-family before in 1946, and it got converted into one family, and but most of the houses on the street are two or three families. At one point, I found that some of the buildings on the street were even four families. So it's a natural, please go to the next page. Thank you. It's a natural formation to have it be, can I have control of over the pages? Sorry.
The ambassador controls it, so please
Okay.
let her know where you're going.
All right, so let's go down, sorry, to page 3. So this is a site plan, a survey of the property. You can see the street, Waban is on the top of the page. On the right side, you can see that there is a fence that is within her driveway currently, and if we look at it closely, the space for the driveway only can accommodate really 2 cars. Only one. It would be very difficult to accommodate 2 cars parking side by side. That's why we are proposing we are requesting to have request the requirement of 2 cars side by side be waived in our case, because one reason is this 3 feet beyond the fence on the right side to her property line is actually occupied by the next building. If you go down one more page, please. This page I show, one more page, please pass that. This place I show how closely it is the 2 cars. This is what we are proposing, tandem parking. Go down please one more page. You can see, so the neighbor's fence is 3 feet into Lavelle's property. So the turret that you see, the double floor part of this porch is actually sitting in Lavelle's property. So she's very squeezed for space. We looked at, do you mind going back one page? We looked at moving the driveway, continuing back to the building and parking 2 cars side by side there, but that meant completely turning the whole backyard, which is now green space. She can do a garden there. It's turning it into asphalted driveway, so that would be a shame. So we're asking for relief from the requirement of parking side by side. Another relief we are asking is the lot is what it is since for 100 years or so. So we don't have enough setback on the right side. We have combined setback. We have beyond the 20 feet, which is required combined, but we don't have the setback on the.
Ma'am, are these setback issues pre-existing conditions, or does your proposal exacerbate them?
Does not exacerbate them. They're
okay. Thank you.
Conditions. Thank you.
Great.
Then moving to the next requirement that we are not able to meet is the parking. So do you mind moving to the next page? Sorry. And the page after that, please. The homeowner, Lavelle is turning the building into 2 families. She will be staying in the house, living in the house on the first floor, renting upstairs, or having family live upstairs. It's important to note that she is. This is an owner-occupied property that's been in her family for many, many years. She's a part of the community. It's a gift to Wabon Street that she's staying there and not selling the house to be developed. So I'm urging the committee to accept waive all the zoning requirements that are beyond, they're all pre-existing conditions that are beyond our ability to meet.
Oh, so she's just reconfiguring internal space.
Exactly.
Okay, is there any basement living?
Yes, she's occupying the basement. There's one, if you go down to the next pages, it's part of her unit. So go down some more, please.
Yeah, if you can confirm like floor to ceiling height and the egress, that would be helpful for the basement.
So if you go to the next page, that's the basement, A0.3, there you go. This is an existing condition, so let's go to page, keep going please. There, that's it, 820. So downstairs, so she's gonna, there is a second means of egress to grade that it's currently there, pre-existing in the house, that you walk out from the unit onto the backyard. The second egress is going up the stairs to the first floor. She's gonna have a bedroom here. The ceiling height is low, only under this beam, but building code allows it to be as low as 6'4", and that's what we have. So go down one more page, please. That's the first floor now. So we expanded the front, grabbed a piece of the porch and turned that into common space. So there is a common entrance. Her unit, you turn right and get into the first floor. That's her unit. You go straight and go upstairs. It's all fire rated enclosure, 1 hour fire rated enclosure. Go upstairs, and that's the second unit number 2. If you please go down one more page. That's the second floor of the unit number 2. There's kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms. This is all existing. She's not touching this. The only thing we are doing is we are adding second means of egress from the back for this unit on this floor, and enclosing the stairwell into 1 hour fire separation. But the bathroom, the kitchen is new, sorry. But this is pretty much like this currently, except that for the second means of egress there, and the new kitchen. The bathroom is pre-existing.
Thank you. Let me ask if there are questions from the board.
Okay, there's one more floor, just.
Okay.
So if you go down one more page, that's the top floor, which is getting a new bathroom. Currently, it's just a bedroom there. We're just adding a new bathroom there. That's.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to ask for public testimony.
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I am the Roxbury Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on November 13th, where although lightly attended, all attendees were supportive with a few inquiries that were addressed during the meeting. Next, the proposal presented to the civic group Garrison Trotter Neighborhood Association on January 12th, where they voted in support of the proposal. We've received no letters of opposition of support at this time. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just talking. We have no additional raised hands at the moment.
Can I say something? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Can I speak up for my family?
Yes. Can you identify yourself and your address for the record?
Yes, the address is 24 Waverman Street. So basically, the house right next to our neighbor's house. I just want to add that she's a really big part of the community, and she's been really good to everybody in the neighborhood. And we support her project 100%. And she's not planning to go anywhere. We just want her back to her house so we can continue growing the relationship that we have together.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries. Good luck, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1669646 with the address of 59 Wales Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, would they please explain the case to the board?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Eileen Rosa from Rosa Design and Construction with business address at 286 Floyd Ave in Milton. I'm here speaking on behalf of the applicant and owner. This proposal involves the additional dwelling unit in the basement of the previously approved 5-unit dwelling. We basically came up with 5 violations on the letter. The first one with off-street parking, which we understand will be missing about 2 parking spaces based on the amount of bedrooms proposed. The use is forbidden. Basically, the use of 5 units building plus an ADU is forbidden on this 3-family zone. And then we have lot area insufficient and additional lot area insufficient, which is pre-existing non-conforming conditions. For the floor area ratio, if you scroll down to the next slide, you'll see the proposed floor plan on the right side and the existing on your left. The allowed floor area ratio in this area is 0.8, and we are proposing 0.9. And for the last violation based on Article 60, it's the open usable space, which is insufficient. The allowed square footage per unit in this area, it's 400 square feet, and we are proposing approximately 324 square feet per unit. So the proposed additional dwelling unit, as you can see, is being proposed in the basement. The finished basement, basically facing the street, it's technically a walkout basement with a couple of steps down. Approximately anything between 24 to 30 inches below grade. This unit, as mentioned, has 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. The rest of the basement area will be for common space for laundry area and utilities. The unit will be about 1,200 square feet. And in the upper units, the first floor, it's the one that is owner occupied. And then on the second and third floor, we have 2 additional units per floor. As you can see in the basement, we are proposing, it's basically 3 means of egress, existing 3 means of egress. For the unit itself, we're going to maintain the existing egresses on the left and right side of the building. And that's all I have to share for now, and I'm open for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions for the board?
Madam Chair, I had a question if BPD is on. I didn't see a recommendation in our packet for this application.
Excellent question. Neither did I. So is Mr. Hampton with us?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jeff Hampton, City of Boston Planning Department. We don't have any issues with this ADU unit. Back in January of 2024, we recommended to this board approval for the 5-unit project. So we don't have any concerns about this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair and members of the board, for the record, my name is Jeremy Bembury. I am the Mid-Dorchester Community Engagement Specialist for the Office of Neighborhood Services. The applicant has completed the community process, which consisted of an abutters meeting held on January 15th with only 1 in attendance. No comments were made. Next, the proposal did not fall within a civic catchment area and therefore was not required to go before a civic group. The office has not received any letters of support or opposition at this time. Thank you for your time, and the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services would like to defer to the board for their judgment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. We have no additional raised hands at the moment.
With that, may I have a motion?
Motion of approval.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stumbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Turner?
Yes.
Yes, the motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next, we have two companion cases. First being case BOA 1658677 with the address of 55 to 57 River Street. Along with that, we have case BOA 1658685, also with the address of 55 to 57 River Street. If the applicant and/or their representative are present, would they please explain to the board?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Secretary, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Joseph Feaster with the law firm of Dane Torpy, 175 Federal Street in Boston. Joining me on this at this time is my co-counsel in my law firm, Timothy Frazier, my paralegal, Patricia Flanagan, and the owners, Cynthia and Mark Edwards from the Edwards Group, who are the applicants on. You will also hear from Mark Schreier, who is our architect on this project. And thank you very much, Mr. Stenbridge. I wanted to just clarify for the board here that there was, early on in the process, there was a building code violation which was addressed by the applicant and their architect, and that has been removed. This is a 14-unit project, which is definitely going to enhance the site there on River Street. It consists of, and I will have the Schreier go in greater detail, but there is an existing building which will have a 2-bedroom and a 5-bedroom. There is also an addition on here which will have 2 studio units, 8 1-bedrooms, and 2 bedrooms, and there will also be a 3-bedroom unit as well. We've addressed the parking spaces with 15 parking spaces, and the applicant has agreed to have 2 affordable units in this particular project. That's the overall piece. I want to speak one more with regards to the community process. Back on October 24, in October of 2024, the applicant met with the River Street Civic Association and to discuss the projects. From that time forward, there have been several attempts made to speak with the neighborhood associations, which did not materialize. And at the time, the representative for the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services allowed the applicant to proceed with the project to become before the board. So I wanted the board to take that into consideration, that the applicant made numerous efforts to try to have further conversation with the community, and that was not forthcoming. So with that, I'd like Mark Schreier to walk you through the project. Mark?
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board. Mark Scriver, architect, 370 Goss Lane, Lancaster, Massachusetts. We've been working on this project for some time and feel like it's a good fit within the community. We're tucking the new parking structure, which is approximately 5,860 square feet, consisting of 15 parking spaces, 2 stair towers, and an actual elevator. All behind the existing building, which is at 55 to 57 River Street. That being said, we've got a drive aisle, we've got 2 walkway egress points from the building parking area to the street, the common area. From that area, basically, you go up, and on the second sheet, if you could page down, please. That's actually the survey sheets showing the meets and bounds and the property location. If we can page down further. Perfect. So this is the existing front building, which is 2 residential units. There's a left side and a right side. The left side is a 2-bedroom unit, and the opposite side, the right side, as you're facing it from the street, is actually I think we're calling it a 5-bedroom unit. And the only thing that we're doing with this is there's a 1-story addition in the back that we're removing, and so we're relocating kitchens. And then on the 3rd level, we're actually adding dormers on the front, just to give it more street presence and make it a little bit, a little bit more colonial and a little bit more residential to fit in the neighborhood. If we can page down one more sheet. So this represents the new plans. So you can basically see the upper left shows the new dormer additions. The remaining plans show the actual living areas, bedrooms, living area, dining room, so forth. Next sheet. So this is the addition. So the basic X on the right side of the page is the existing building. You can then see the studio unit, which is right adjacent to that. We then have kind of a Z-shaped corridor that connects the 2 stair towers and the elevator. And we have 4 1-bedrooms per floor. And we have unit number 3 is a 2-bedroom at the back. We've also incorporated balconies at all units so that they have a little bit of levity, a little bit of outdoor space, and it provides a little bit of shadow and shade for the elevations as well. It is fairly close to the property lines. We have 4-foot, 8-foot, and 4-foot rear foot setbacks. So the next sheet is the upper floor. If we can page down one sheet. So this is the upper floor showing again the stair towers, the elevator, and then the back unit. It's labeled unit number 9, is actually a 3-bedroom unit. And this was incorporated at the ask of the last meeting that we had with the city. It just provides a little bit more diversity, a mix between studios, 1, 2, and 1 3-bedroom unit. The next sheet is basically the roof plan. So the intent here is to provide as low of structure as is possible. We don't want to overwhelm or kind of show a larger mass than the front building. So basically we're keeping the roof line at 34 feet to the top of the roof. The front building is approximately 31 feet high. So from the street level, as you look at the front building, you really don't see much of the mass of the rear building. Most of what you're going to see is the actual parking garage entry and that little bit of face on the left side of the building. Next sheet, please. So these are the elevations showing the existing on the right side and then the new on the left side. So the lower right is the existing front elevation. The lower left is the new front elevation. So you can see the dormers that have been added. We have the residential high-speed roll-up door, and then the residential units above with a couple of windows. The upper left is the new left side elevation showing the balconies. We did a little bit of a pop-up at the corners and above balconies just to give it less of a static line, to give it a little bit of diversity. And as well as you'll see in the 3D, we tried to break up the colors a little bit just to give it a little bit of diversity, pizzazz, whatever you want to call it. And the last issue I'd like to mention is that the parking garage is a podium, so it's steel construction and concrete above to separate the hourly separation between units and garage. But we've also incorporated louvers to give it a little bit of security relative to the outside, but also providing more than 50% open air, so it is not a mechanically ventilated garage. Next sheet, please. This would be the left side elevation. So the bottom of the sheet is the existing. You can see the dormer and the one-story addition in the back that's being deleted. And then the upper elevation on the sheet shows the actual addition in the back. The louvers marching down. The back left corner shows the egress door from the stair tower. And then simply the single window above is within that stair tower, just to give a little bit of light and break up the elevation. Next sheet, please. So this would be the right side elevation. The lower on the sheet is the existing, again, dormer in the back. and one-story addition being deleted. And then the upper portion elevation on the sheet shows, again, first level are the louvers to create an open-air garage, and then the two levels of units above showing the balconies in the center and then windows either side. Next sheet, please. These are the exterior elevations, so they're all new elevation perspectives. So the upper left is the right front from River Street, showing the main building with the dormers added, and then the building addition and back. The upper right is the back left corner, showing it from from an adjacent property perspective, where we've got the balconies to create a little bit of shadow line and levity to the elevations, and then the pop-ups at the corners and above balconies. Lower right is the left front from River Street, showing the garage entry, both the man door and the overhead door, and the windows above, and a little bit of pop-up at the left corner. Lower left is the right rear elevation perspective, showing the, again, egress door, all the louvers at the first level of the garage, and then the unit mix above with balconies on both elevations. Last sheet. That should be it. Thank you. I'd like to turn it over for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. If I might just add, just to put this in context, Madam Chair, members of the board, as you can see, the applicant has sought to be sensitive to several areas of concern, open space by having the balconies on each of the units, to address the issue of parking by having the interior garage, and then of course to be able to have this edifice fit into the character of the neighborhood by being very sensitive to the design features. As you note with the variances that were necessary, they are the customary variances, nothing extraordinary in that regard if you're trying to build anything here in the city of Boston, since the code has not been adjusted. So therefore, these are the side yards, the rear yards, the FARs, and the Boston parking issues, which are customarily addressed. So with that, Madam Chair, I turn it to you for your review for any questions.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I have a question. I'm struggling with the 4-foot rear setback and the 3.8